Hello everyone, my name is PolishLynx and this is a completely new game from Traumendes Mansion and French studio. We're gonna play Ambre, which might be awesome. Of course English, I have no idea about French. It was 7 PM on the beautiful yet cold autumn day. The wind shook the frail trees branches across the street. Tristan Malory made his slow, tired way. A whirlwind of leaves caught his attention and he stopped to contemplate them for a few minutes. A spray of colors danced around him. Fragments of reds, oranges, yellows spread at random, forming a mosaic that stretched on for as far as the eye could see, endlessly. It was rare beauty in that grey and fuming city, in that noisy metropolis constantly exhaling bad air. Coming back to his senses, the 30-year-old man shook his head. Now wasn't the time to be daydreaming. He had to go home. The long day weighed on his shoulders. But if he was honest with himself, work wasn't the most tiring thing in his life. Since honest, well-paid work was somewhat of a luxury these days, like any model employee, he consciously accomplished every task handed to him, and did no more or less than what was asked. No, what was destroying him was a completely different form of fatigue. An appalling and crushing solitude that had been shadowing him for years, ever since his wife. The light tinkle of the front door opening brought him back to earth. He was already at his flat. A sad and mute living room sat waiting for him in morbid silence. Goosebumps traveled down his spine as he entered the room. Driven by desperation, he didn't even take the time to hang his coat correctly, but began slamming all of the doors, one after the other. Each time, the same emptiness answered his pleas. He felt a rising dread within. His last hope was the last door and the forbidden room from beyond. He opened it slightly and peeked inside. Of course, there was no one. He fell heavily onto the sofa. The crushing solitude came back in full force, crushing him again and again, wounding his face with invisible cuts, the cuts of time. It was happening again. All of a sudden, Tristan Malory felt exhausted. He held his head in his hands and stared at the floor for long minutes. Then, after what felt like an eternity, he got to his feet. He moved to gather all of the framed pictures that had been on the furniture and stowed them away in a closet. They needed to be out of sight. When he was sure that there were no more pictures to put away, Tristan put his coat back on and went outside. It was cool, a bit dark, but there was still enough light to see by. It was the ideal time to take a walk. At least, that's what he would have thought. As he hurried along the sidewalk, the 30-year-old man was anything but relaxed. Nervously, he walked around her most familiar places looking for a serenity that seemed to be out of reach. While passing a park near his home, he heard a high-pitched, almost inaudible plea. His heart jumped, and he stopped. In the dim light of the setting sun, he made out the silhouette of a little girl sitting on a swing with her head bowed. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Afraid of startling her, he made his way toward her slowly and looked at her. Her clothes were crumpled. She had neither coat nor scarf, and there were scratches on her hands and arms, as she had been in a fight. The park was completely deserted, and she seems to have been there for a while. For a second, Tristan Malory felt the urge to leave her there to whatever fate lay in store for her. But then he mentally justified himself. He couldn't do that to a child. So he knelt in front of her and asked in a soft voice, "Is something wrong?" At first the little girl seemed not to hear him. She choked on her sobs, hiccuped and shuddered. Slowly, Tristan Malory stroked her hair and repeated, "Why are you crying? What happened?" It took long minutes for her to calm down enough to speak, but eventually, with a faint voice interrupted by sobs, she wept at her tears and answered him, I don't know. I think I've lost something important, really important, but I can't remember what it was." Tristan sighed, feeling a mixture of compassion and pity. She seemed so lost, so vulnerable. He wanted to hold her so lightly, her sadness melted away, and at the same time, within him, a voice was telling him that he shouldn't be too forceful, he shouldn't take advantage of her weakness. So he tried to not lose face, to look reassuring. Yet in front of this sad little girl, he did not feel self-confident at all. "Are you alone? Where are Mommy and Daddy?" "I don't know." "Do you live far away from here?" "I don't know." "What's your name?" "Ambre." "Well, Ambre, you can't stay here out in the wind, or you are going to catch a cold. And you don't want to get sick, do you?" "No, I hate being sick." "See, you've got to go warm yourself up somewhere. The night is getting close." "But I don't know where to go." "In that case, what do you think about going over to my place? It's not far away from here and it will make a much better sleeping place than the swing." It really doesn't look good. 30-year-old guy and a child. I have a bad feeling, and I have read the description of the game before. That might be something surprising, very surprising. I have a feeling there must be something I won't like. Let's see. Amber seemed worried at first, but she had no other choice but to follow him. He gently reached a hand to her, and for the first time she lifted her eyes. They were washed out, blurry with tears and hesitant. He thought it a good idea to show her a smiling face, to appear to be a reassured adult. Even with the fatigue, he caught her fine and frail hand and helped her get to her feet. She looks completely different now, actually. Her face, I guess. The young girl's steps were wobbly and weak. She had probably not eaten all day long. He held her hand, making sure she wouldn't trip. The 30-year-old man removed his coat and shut the door behind him. "Make yourself at home. I'll cook you something." Passing through the kitchen, he turned on the light in the living room, so his flat would look less gloomy. While roaming through his fridge looking for a good meal idea, he stole several glances over the counter. In the living room, Ambre was still walking around, a bit wild, still on the defensive. She explored this new environment by looking around, admiring the ornaments. She didn't find much to pique her interest. It was a bland house, almost too bland. There were no clues about the occupants' lives. Taking advantage of Tristan's being distracted by a packet of noodles, she escaped to the hallway and tried to find the bathroom. She found it quickly enough before returning to the hallway. Then she noticed that all the doors were wide open, except for one. She was drawn to the doorway even before she had time to think. Intrigued, Ambre felt magnetically attracted by the slightly open door. Just one peek was all she wanted, but she couldn't see anything through the crack. Was this Bluebird's cabinet? A frightening tomb where Tristan Malory stored the corpses of his former wives? The little girl pushed the door open, entered the room and switched the light on. Wow, it was a bedroom with soft cushions filled with plushes. A big bed proudly throned in the center of the room was accompanied by a pretty dressing table to one side. The walls were painted to look like a bright blue sky. Didn't see that coming. Wait a minute. Okay, don't tell me he lost his wife and a child. The storage furniture, coordinated with the sweet colors of trinkets, were overflowing with mysteries. On the nightstand she could catch a glimpse of a nightlight shaped as a cute mascot. There was a fairy-like ambience about this strange room, so that Ambre couldn't repress a little exclamation of surprise. Closing the door so that the 30-year-old wouldn't discover her hiding spot, she stretched out on the colorful bed, rolled into a ball, jumped about and snuck under the bed sheets. For an inexplicable reason she felt at ease in this room worthy of a princess. It seems to have been built for her, to correspond to her every fantasy. Then she noticed a big teddy bear which seemed to stare at her. Immediately she grabbed it, hugged it and covered it with kisses. Her pale face was illuminated by a wide, pure, innocent smile. A child's smile. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Tristan Malory finished cooking the noodles. He was about to serve the meal when he noted the absence of the little girl. Slightly worried, he called for her. "Ambre, Ambre, where are you?" Nervous, he looked after her in all the rooms, checking to see if she was in the bathroom. He searched everywhere in the house, until there were only... The entry door makes some noise when it's opened. I would have heard it if she had left. Can she be in there already? With a contrite sigh, he headed towards the forbidden room and found Ambre playing with stuffed animals. His gaze softened. I suppose that I can't do anything, he thought to reassure himself. Without a word, he went to sit next to her. On the bed, the little girl moved the stuffed animal's hands while making them speak. In her weak voice, she was narrating a stuffed animal tea party and seemed to be enjoying herself. The light was back in her eyes. Suddenly, she got mad at a plump cow and scolded her harshly. "It's dirty! Stop it right now! You are making a mess! Ollie, what did I just say? It's dirty! You've got to behave yourself! And don't roll on the floor! You shouldn't make a fuss just because you didn't get what you wanted!" As punishment, she sent the cow in a corner, ordering her not to move before replacing her with a pony with long eyelashes. The stuffed animal tea party hosted by the blue monkey was obviously not going as planned. The 30-year-old man eyed the little girl's every move with care. She finally noticed his presence. He felt he had to speak. "Are you having fun?" "Yeah, I didn't know there was a bedroom like this in your house. Whose room is it?" "It was my wife's favorite room before she left." "What happened to her?" "It's a long story. Maybe I will tell you another time. Meanwhile, the meal is getting colder. Do you want to eat?" "Of course. What do you eat?" Bolognese sauce with pasta." "Great, great. I love it." That evening, Tristan Malory admired Ambre as she wolfed down her food. He felt half amused, half distracted. Seeing her so happy soothed his heart a little, but at the same time... "Are you tired?" the child asked suddenly with a serious air. "A little. I worked hard today." She said nothing, still amazed by the princess' bedroom. She reviewed the topic with starry eyes. "Do you like it?" "Yeah, a lot. I wish I had a similar room." "If you want, I'll give it to you." "Really?" "My wife left a long time ago. Her stuff is still inside and I don't use it. So if you like, it's yours. You can stay in her room while I'm looking for your parents and what you lost. What do you say?" Can I? Really? But it doesn't belong to me. There's nothing sadder than a house without life, isn't it? I know that my wife loved her to rest in her favorite room. There she felt at ease, like on a cloud. But now, she's not living here anymore. You seem to like this place, so I think it would make her happy to know that her bedroom is in good hands. And I can do whatever I want in it? While I'm at work, you will be able to play in this room as much as you want. I will leave some leftovers for a lunch. You'll only have to heat them up in the microwave, and in the evening we'll play together if you'd like to. Do I need to go to school? No more school, only games. Yeah, great then! In front of Ambre's overflowing enthusiasm, Tristan Malory couldn't help but smile faintly, almost pitifully. Yeah, that's it indeed, he kept telling himself, as if to reassure himself. All I'm doing is keeping her around until she remembers who she is and what she's lost. Waiting for her to remember. Okay, I guess I'll end the episode here. Interesting story so far. We'll see in the next episode what will happen. See you then.